Tick-tack, it's yet another time to rock again. In our previous class, we were able to deal with the peace concept. During this period, we were able to do justice to the peace enforcement, peace building, and peacekeeping. Today, on United Nations system, we'll be dealing with successes and failures of United Nations. We'll be using the Rwanda genocide as a case study. Over 26 years ago, in the course of 100 days, about 800,000 people were slaughtered by ethnic Hutus extremists in Rwanda. To understand how this genocide came about, we need to understand some things about the people of Rwanda. In Rwanda, they have two major ethnic groups: Hutus, who make up about 85% of the general population of Rwanda, and Tutsis, who are minority but have for a long time dominated the country. Before the coming of the Europeans in the late 19th century, the Tutsis are majorly cattle rearers and the Hutus are majorly peasant farmers. These two groups share the same language and are majorly Christians. In 1959, the Hutus overthrew the Tutsis and there was a change of power from the Tutsis to the Hutus, with the help of the colonial masters who have seen the Hutus as more loyal to their government. As a result, conflict was initiated and thousands of Tutsis fled to neighboring countries, including Uganda. Decades later, in the late 1980s, the Tutsis refugees in Uganda decided to come back home. So they formed the Rwanda Patriotic Front (RTF), which was led by Paul Kagame, the present president of Rwanda. Their aim is to overtake the then president Habyarimana and also to secure their right to return to their homeland again. The RPF invaded Rwanda in 1990, but in 1993, after several attacks and negotiations, the Arusha Peace Accord was signed between the both groups, supervised by the United Nations. But this action did very little to stop the unrest in Rwanda, despite the fact that it was supervised by the United Nations. The failure of this accord gave room for the spark that led to the events that ushered in the genocide. On the night of April 6, 1994, the plane carrying the president Habyarimana was shot down, and this mystery is yet to be solved on who shot down the plane till today. The Hutus accused the Tutsis of killing the president because they intentionally had it to overthrow his government, while the Tutsis on the other hand accused the Hutus of killing the president just to initiate the killings of the Tutsis. Within hours, Hutus, who have carefully orchestrated strategies, began to unleash violence on the Tutsis and the RPFs. This was a well-organized campaign of slaughter against the Tutsis, which did not stop for 3 months. The genocide was carried out with meticulous organization. Neighbors killed neighbors, husbands killed their wives, and wives killed husbands because of the fear of killing them when they refuses to kill their spouse, all because they belong to different ethnic groups, and as at that period, ID card carries the ethnic group that you belong. So it is easy to know your ethnic group because of your ID card. Once you have been seen and you have been asked for your identity card, you provide the identity card with your ethnic group written on it. Now the question is, how could the international organization allow this to happen, especially the United Nations? Although the United Nations troops and Belgian troops were on ground during this crisis, but they couldn't react because their mandate was to keep peace, not to fight in a war, but there was no peace to be kept. You remember in our last class on United Nations, we spoke about peacekeeping and mandates. With that being said, the UN Force Commander got an intelligent information and he sent it down to the United Nations office about a secret plan to eliminate the Tutsis. A response came back that same day from the United Nations, failing to respond on the recommendation that was being given by the United Nations Force Commandants. And 3 months later, all the warnings came true. The French troops also were accused of supporting the Hutus towards the killing of the Tutsis. This accusation Paris have denied, and America on the other hand did not want to get involved in another African conflict after the Battle of Mogadishu that led to the death of 18 American soldiers in Somalia. The Hutu extremists set up a radio station and newspapers which broadcast hate speech and hate propaganda, urging people to weed out the cockroaches, which means kill the Tutsis. The RPF soldiers, backed up by the Uganda army, gradually seized more territory until they marched into Kigali, the capital of Rwanda, on the 4th of July to finally seize the state and to put it in their own custody. Thousands of Hutus and soldiers, militaries and militias that were involved in the killings of Tutsis and their families fled to DR Congo for the fear of a revenge by the Tutsis. Some of them also fled to Tanzania. 2 weeks later, on July 18, the RPF announced that the war was over and declared a ceasefire, and the post-conflict peace building program was introduced. So let's quickly move to the successes and failures of the United Nations, using the Rwanda genocide as a case study. The United Nations have recorded a lot of successes and failures, and the good thing is that most of their failures, they are aware of them and they don't shy away from them. The core failure that every scholar have been talking about have been the issue of the veto power. This issue have not yet been resolved, and it does not seem as if it's going to be resolved. The United Nations has a total of 192 members in the General Assembly, with 50 members championing the Security Council. 10 of them are always being elected and 5 of them are permanent. These countries with the permanent seat are United States, Russia, China, France, and the United Kingdom. And these 5 nations are the nations with the veto power. The consequence of this is that the 5 nations can at any time kick against the resolution that is being made by the 192 members in the General Assembly. This is not equal and this is not balanced. This means that one country can hold the whole world to ransom if a particular decision in the General Assembly does not favor the country. This is a practical example of the beliefs of both the classical realists and the neo-realists, believing that the supranational organizations does not stand to favor all countries equally, but to promote their own national interest. Another critical failure of the United Nations is the fact that member nations do not meet regularly. This means that critical issues demanding urgent attention would not be attended to, but they will be left on the table of the Secretariat, and the Secretariat will always depend on a final go-ahead from the top. And this was one of the major factors that led to the genocide of Rwanda. And this will introduce us to the next failure of United Nations, which is failure to act upon the intelligence that was gathered by the United Nations commander, General Romeo, of a secret plan to cleanse away the Tutsis from the nation. Another failure is the same issue that affected the League of Nations. The United Nations also do not have a standing army. Assuming they were having a standing army, they would have been able to usher them into Rwanda immediately they got the information of the planned genocide. Assuming they also have armies, they would have been able to send sufficient peacekeepers into Rwanda, but they failed to send sufficient peacekeepers into Rwanda. That was in 1993 when there was an attempt to implement the peace agreement. But in general terms, there are other failures of the United Nations. These include the rape and child sex abuse in Congo. Apart from that, the spread of cholera in Haiti that the United Nations was unable to curb, despite the fact that they claimed to have immunized the country. Also, we have the issue of the Iraq oil for food programs. It was a program that was supposed to lift the embargo from Iraq so that they will be able to sell oil through United Nations and use the money to purchase foods and medicine. But this particular issue became the worst financial scandal of the United Nations. There are still other ones we can go on, but let's quickly move to the successes. With regards to the Rwanda genocide, when it comes to the successes of United Nations, the truth is that United Nations failed woefully. And the good thing is that United Nations acknowledged the fact that they failed woefully. The war came to an end immediately RTF declared that the war was over. So the truth is that the Tutsis took their destiny in their hands and they went further to fight for their stay in their own country. It wasn't as a result of an assistance from the United Nations or any supranational organization. This further portrayed the point from the Pan-Africanism that African issues can be resolved with the implementation of African solutions. Notwithstanding, the United Nations was able to record some successes. For example, the peacekeeping forces managed to protect thousands of Rwandans who took shelter under them. The United Nations also, through the Security Council, was able to impose armed embargo on Rwanda. This is known as armed proliferation. So it was a deliberate attempt to reduce the circulation of small arms and light weapons in Rwanda. Come to think of it, the United Nations recorded some successes, but those successes was basically post-conflict peace-building successes. It has nothing to do with the pre-conflict or the conflict period. Okay, putting aside the Rwanda genocide, in general terms, the United Nations have been able to record some successes when it has to do with peace in the international system. Thanks to the United Nations Conflict Resolution and Peacekeeping Initiative, the number of people dying from conflict have declined rapidly since 1945 worldwide. Fewer people died in conflict in the first decade of 21st century than any decade in the 20th century. Another important success that can be recorded for the United Nations is the prosecution of the Liberian and Serbian leader for war crimes under the United Nations Tribunal. So we can go on and on to talk about the successes and the failures of the United Nations. However, the United Nations has done its best to see to the international peace and security. They can only get better in this day of technology and globalization. Thank you for the time you have spared until I come across your way again next time. In case you have not subscribed to this channel, please kindly subscribe to this channel and please press the notification button so that you can always get a notification from us as soon as we post a new video.